Hi guys, we are going to finish reading up about ancient Rome today. We have just one chapter left. It's chapter 16, the East and the West. So let's go ahead and get started. One more thing before we get started. There will be some notes that you have to write down. You can write these on a piece of paper, and we can glue that in your notebook when we return to in-person class. Okay. All right, chapter 16, East and West. Luciano's last assignment. So remember, Luciano is the boy who has been in our story. He is studying up on the Roman Empire and presenting information to his class. Luciano glanced ahead in his books. He knew the story of the Roman Empire was nearly over. He felt a little sad because this story was special to him. While studying the Roman Empire, Luciano discovered he liked taking part in class. For his next assignment, the teacher told him to read about Emperor Constantine in the city of Constantinople. Luciano was curious. He hurried home to begin his studies. Constantine takes control. The next day, the teacher told the class about Constantine. After Diocletian retired, the Roman Empire fell into civil war. In time, a strong leader took control of the empire. His name was Constantine. Here is a depiction of Constantine through a mosaic. And in this mosaic, he is holding a model of Constantinople. So that's what you see right here. Remember, Constantinople is a city. A key victory in Constantine's rise to power came in 312 CE. At the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, Constantine defeated one of his rivals. Constantine was not yet a Christian, but he claimed the Christian God helped him win the battle. In 313 CE, Constantine made an agreement with Licinius, who then ruled the eastern part of the empire. The two agreed to let Christians practice their religion. This agreement was called the Edict of Milan. Christians were no longer punished for their beliefs. In fact, Constantine actively supported the Christian religion. He is remembered as the first Christian emperor. So this is how Constantine is a little bit different from emperors before him, because if you remember, those emperors did not support the Christian religion because they felt threatened by it. They thought that the Christians would anger the Roman gods, but Constantine had a different view. He actually let the Christians practice their religion and did not punish them. He supported them. Constantine was a strong emperor. He followed Diocletian's example. He named people to help him rule. After Constantine ruled the Roman Empire for a while, he moved the government away from Rome. The teacher turned to Luciano. Luciano, where did Constantine move the government? Constantinople. Luciano was prepared. In 324 CE, Constantine began moving the government of the Roman Empire to Byzantium. Byzantium was an old city in the eastern part of the empire. It had a big racetrack like Rome's Circus Maximus. Constantine thought that Byzantium should have a new name. He named the city Constantinople after himself. You won't find Constantinople on maps today, Luciano continued. The city's name has changed. Today it's called Istanbul, and it's in the country of Turkey. Thank you, Luciano, said the teacher. You did well. All right, next section is called the Byzantine Empire. The teacher continued. Constantine ruled from Constantinople for several years. After his death, there were more civil wars. The western part of the Roman Empire eventually broke away from the eastern part. There were now two empires instead of one. Here is a map, and it says this is around 330 CE. It shows the eastern and the western. Here's the eastern, here's the western empires. The Eastern Empire is all of this light purple lavender color, and you can see that Constantinople is right there, and that's the capital of the Eastern Empire. And then here is the western. It's all of this red color, and Rome is the capital of the Western Roman Empire. The Eastern Empire included Constantinople because the city was once called Byzantium. The empire was called the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire became powerful and lasted for more than 1,000 years. Constantinople became one of the most important cities in the world. It attracted traders and travelers from Asia, Africa, and Europe. Byzantine philosophers talked about important ideas. Artists blended Greek, Roman, and Middle Eastern styles to create beautiful mosaics and other works of art. The Eastern Empire was ruled by a series of emperors. Justinian was one of its most famous emperors. In Constantinople, Justinian built a beautiful Christian church called the Hagia Sophia. And here is a picture of that church right there. This was built in Constantinople, and this city is now called Istanbul, and it is located in the country of Turkey. Although Justinian ruled the Eastern Empire far from Rome, he knew the Romans had built his empire. The empire was governed by Roman laws. Justinian had these Roman laws written down. This collection of laws was known as the Justinian Code. Okay, so he still, even though he was not in Rome, he still followed the Roman laws. The Western Empire. The teacher continued. The Western Empire was not as strong as the Eastern Empire. By the time Justinian became emperor in the East, the Western Empire had collapsed. How did this happen? The Western Empire was less wealthy than the Eastern Empire. It was also surrounded by warlike neighbors. Barbarians often attacked the borders of the Western Empire. Over time, these barbarians took over more and more Roman land. The armies of the Western Empire could not stop them. Eventually, the barbarians sacked the city of Rome. The Western Empire kept fighting the barbarians for another 60 years. Finally, in 476 CE, the emperor of the Western Empire surrendered to a barbarian leader. The Western Empire had fallen. This event is called the Fall of Rome. We have reached the end of our exploration of ancient Rome, said the teacher. We should thank Luciano for helping us to know and understand the Romans. Thank you, Luciano. We are so proud of you. All right, so that concludes chapter 16. And before you guys move on and take notes, I just want to talk about a few questions. First of all, what was Byzantium? Okay, Byzantium was another name for Eastern Europe. And it continued for more than 1,000 years after the fall of Rome and the Western Europe. How was Constantinople similar to Rome, and how was it different? Okay, because remember, Constantinople was the capital of the Eastern Empire, and Rome was the capital of the Western Empire. So like Rome, Constantinople was one of the most important cities in the world. It attracted people from 3 different continents. Also, like Rome, it was governed by emperors, like Justinian and Constantine. It was different because it was influenced by Middle Eastern styles of art and architecture. Who was Justinian and what did he do? Justinian was a Byzantine emperor. He built a Christian church called the Hagia Sophia and created the Justinian Code by having all of the different Roman laws written down in one place. So that's who Justinian was. Where was the Western Empire, and what was its capital? Okay, so the Western Empire covered the western part of the Roman Empire, and its capital was Rome, like we have already talked about. How was the Western Empire different from the Eastern Empire? First of all, it was less wealthy. It was surrounded by warlike neighbors, which were the barbarians, and it was subject to many barbarian attacks. How and when did the Western Empire end? The Western Empire ended in 476 CE, which is what we just read about, when a barbarian leader forced the emperor of the Western Empire to surrender and give up his throne. Okay, and then think about this. So Rome, or not Rome, the Roman Empire was split into 2 empires, the Eastern and the Western. Why do you think that the Western Empire collapsed, but the Eastern Empire did not. Okay, what would be some reasonings for that? If you think about it, we read about this a little bit, and we talked about how Western Rome was a lot less wealthy than the Eastern Empire, not Western Rome. The Western Empire was a lot less wealthy than the Eastern Empire, and they were also subject to a lot of barbarian attacks. So those things really contributed to the Western side collapsing eventually. All right, that is all for chapter 16. The notes are posted in Bright Thinker along with this video, so make sure that you record those notes. Remember, I said just write them on a piece of paper, and when we return back to school, we can glue those in your notebooks. All right, goodbye.